Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the Frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
VR Junkies is a virtual reality arcade. We specialize in all things VR, from the simple phone-based headsets to cutting-edge full-body motion systems. Check us out at the Coronado Mall. VR Junkies.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
And welcome everybody here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. We'll be joined by Steve Davis later on here in the program as well. We're going to talk a lot of sports here this afternoon, primarily high school football. We'll get into the volleyball polls later on in the show. And we will also talk a little bit of New Mexico Lobo football. And I know that's one of the things you like to talk about, Ed, as we bring in Ed Nunez. And Ed, big win for the Lobos on Saturday. They were down at halftime. They came back with a big second half to put that game away.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob David, we'd mentioned that, has had good success against Air Force, 4-2 now. And going into the game, Air Force had played Michigan and San Diego State very tough. They play a different version of the triple option. We had talked about that. They still got their yards. But I don't know if that lightning delay, who would help more? The University of New Mexico, I think it did, or Air Force. Because the Lobos came out like gangbusters. We had talked about the big chunk plays that had been missing, and Richard McQuarrie absolutely went crazy, runs of 65 and 68 yards. And I'll tell you one thing, though. I looked at Lamar Jordan, and I was watching on TV, and then they cut away to the San Diego State game. So I had to listen to 770 and Robert Portnoy. But Lamar Jordan, when they're losing, and they talked about this, he gets this attitude. He looks really mad. Yeah. He wears his emotions on his sleeves. And I'm going to tell you this. They said that the Lobos win by running the football. They ran it well because if they're going to ask him to, again, they said he improved on his mechanics, and I guess he has. But there were some throws that were, to be honest with you, frankly speaking, weren't very good. But As the redshirt freshman Jay Griffin is turning out to be quite a weapon. Speed, track guy. So he's turning out to be a wild card. I think it's a good time for a bye. They need that. They're a bit beat up. Teton Saltese, the Valley product, got a start at right tackle. I thought he did pretty well for his first start. The offensive line got pushed. They're starting to climb up in the numbers again as far as rushing. So we did panic a little bit. Now when they lost to the Aggies, I didn't think they'd go to Tulsa and win. I wasn't sure about Air Force. I don't know how many people thought, although Bob Davie, if you look at the success he's had against the Falcons, it's pretty good. Yeah. So again, I think it's a great time for a break. 2 weeks from now, they'll take on Fresno State at Fresno. So you're halfway home to a bowl. It's 3 wins. Right. You're halfway home. Now, here's the thing. If they win 7 or 8, maybe it's a different bowl, though they went 9-4 last year, and it was the New Mexico Bowl, which is okay. I don't want to talk bad about the New Mexico Gildan Bowl. I don't want Jeff Symbieta getting upset at me at all because it's a great bowl. It is. So let's see. Again, halfway home to a bowl, and I think that's important for the fans here. The lightning delay, and after the delay, a lot of people did leave. But I stuck with them to the end. It's funny because I was watching the Lakers, their first exhibition game. So I'm watching that and I'm listening to the radio, but at the same time. But I thought it was a good victory, Scott, because I don't think a lot of people really thought Air Force, having played well against Michigan and San Diego State, that the Lobos would take care of business the way they did.
Well, here's the reason why the Lobos took care of business the way they did. It's because they run the option better than Air Force does. Why? They have more talent. They have more athletes. They got more guys who can break to the outside and break big runs. Air Force runs the offense out of the wishbone, the triple option, or whatever you want to call it, out of necessity. The Lobos are doing it to make their team better. Now, it beats up the quarterback if you get a good hit on the quarterback, Lamar Jordan being a good example. All 3 quarterbacks have been knocked out, but when the offense is moving, it's well-oiled. And earlier in the season, the Lobos were starting to pass a lot more, and the fans were all, hey, great, they're passing. This is great. This is what we want to see. But it isn't what the Lobo offense really is. That Tulsa game, when they chunked up over 42 minutes of offense, and they kept Tulsa's offense off the field, they only had 18 minutes of play on offense. That's when the triple option is working. That's what they did the other day, especially in the second half against Air Force. They came out, controlled the clock, controlled the drives, and the thing is they're not getting empty drives, and that's the important part. They're not punting the ball a lot, and people aren't realizing that. They're scoring either field goals, mostly touchdowns. They're scoring out of their option, out of long 6, 7, 8-minute drives, and it's pretty impressive.
That's how they eat. That's how they are fed, is through the run game. People wanted to see. Now, Delane Hart-Johnson, the junior receiver who came back from an injury last year, I still think is a weapon that's underutilized. But if they're throwing 25 or 50, that's not what they do. And if they're doing that, that's not the formula for a Lobo win.
But they're throwing the ball in great situations.
Right.
And that's what they did last year. They threw to break the monotony and throw the other team off. More times than not, they got big plays. That's what they're getting back to.
It was usually Austin Apodaca that came back and came out of the game and did that. Lamar Jordan is never going to be a proficient passer. He's sometimes adequate, sometimes inaccurate. You know what, though? Let's give him credit, too. He broke off some nice runs. They called one back on a hold. He had a touchdown run called back. But 56 points is pretty darn good.
Right.
And so I think, again, they're trending upward again.
I guess the defense prides itself on tough-nosed defense.
Again, they played Michigan tough and San Diego State tough. So I think the Lobos going into this bye are trending up. And it's good to go into a bye with a win. You got 2 weeks to kind of get some guys healed, and it's a good time for a bye. And then they take on Fresno State, which is a winnable game as well. It really is.
Yeah. Well, I think on paper the Lobos are definitely a better team, but it's at Fresno, and you never know what happens on the road. But it seems like Bob Davie is starting to get into that Rocky Long mentality, winning games on the road.
You know what? You bring up Coach Long, and Rocky did win a lot of games on the road. He did. And Bob Davie, again, has done a great job here. I think he's done well. Again, there's some controversy and storms swirling around. There always seems to be, but they got to win. They got to win. And the program that has been win-starved, 3 years before this, and they've been to 2 straight straight bowls, and people expected a lot this year, even though I think one of the things, Scott, is they lost 3 offensive linemen. I think it took time to develop that chemistry with the new starters. That was obvious the way they ran the football the first couple of games, and now they're trending back to what Lobo football does, gaining 300, 400 yards on the ground, or 500 yards of total offense, and controlling the clock. So I thought it was a great win, and as I mentioned, I think it's good to go into a bye week with a solid win like that.
You mentioned controversy. I'm not going to get into it, but I wanted to see if you had a comment, because you're the co-host of the show, just on what happened at halftime. An unfortunate circumstance, because normally when the national anthem is played, the teams are in the locker room, and they don't even come out until about a minute or two, or even 5 minutes after the national anthem is played. The teams come out, make their grand appearance after the band is done playing and off the field.
I think one of the things that happened, it said this in the paper, Coach Davey didn't expect that. You mentioned that there was some confusion. I guess the Lobo band, there was a 5-minute, like you said, 5-minute halftime because of the delay, and I don't think that was supposed to. They cut the homecoming festivities, everything. Too bad too. Everybody looks forward to homecoming, but I don't have a comment other than to say I think some. Of course I do. I just would rather not go into it. Right. I think people, signals were crossed. It made some people upset. I read that in Sports Speak Up yesterday. There were some people that were very upset about the stance that some of the players did. And Coach Davey said he didn't have a chance to talk to the team before. Right. And I don't know that he was very happy about it. So I'm guessing, and they're Tuesday today. They're supposed to. Which would lead back to they're used to not being on the field during that time. Right. Then now today they practice, and they're saying that they're gonna try to interview some of the players about their stance, things like that. So I think it's a good time for a bye, though, because some of that maybe will go away. So we'll see what happens. Definitely caused some ill feelings on. And again, I definitely have a comment to make. I'd just rather not do it. Well, it gets players called out and all that stuff, and you hate to see that, especially after a big win, which. Even though Tulsa was a good road win, I called this a signature win. I think you're right. I wasn't sure because of the way Air Force had played Michigan. They looked tough. They looked tough against Michigan and San Diego State. So people, again, are very critical of the University of New Mexico when they lose. I'm one of them. Let's give them some credit. Critical, period. No matter what. Lacrosse, soccer, swimming, cross-country skiing, particularly Lobo football and basketball. I mean, they really are. So I think it's a great win. I was ecstatic, even though I couldn't finish it on TV because they cut to the San Diego State game because I wanted to finish the game, but that delay just made them move up their other broadcast sooner than they wanted. So I thought it was a great win. I really did. To me, I think that's a bigger issue, that they cut the game. I mean, it's a big Lobo victory. People are watching, and then all of a sudden, boom, they go to the San Diego State Northern Illinois game, and it's like, why not join that in progress? And then, according to the paper, it said you can catch it online. Apparently, some folks had trouble even getting that game online. I didn't even try to. I didn't try to. I just figured the radio was my best friend, and it was for the rest of the broadcast. But according to Rick Wright's article this morning, folks tried it and were unsuccessful. So that, to me, that's a gaffe as well. No doubt. And who would have thought? Again, that delay could have helped both teams, and it helped the Lobos make the adjustments. And Coach Davey said that they were gashing them with yards earlier, the Air Force, and then when they went to the break, they figured it out and made some adjustments, and that kind of stopped them in their tracks a little bit. Because they're going to, this goes back to Fisher to Berry. They're going to get their yards. Yeah. They run just such a different version. You don't know who's going to get the ball, the pitch man. You got to play your gaps, the whole thing. You have assignment football. They're going to get some yards. They did, and the Lobos 56 points. Wow. I mean, again, trending upward, 2 weeks break, get everybody healthy. They feel good about themselves. Mm-hmm. So for the rest of the season, let's see. If they get 4 wins, I always say that. Almost there to a bowl, so we'll see what happens. Let's take a break now, look at the Dream Style Top 10 Plays of the Week, and then we'll come back talking about high school football here on the Sports Desk.
To the end of it, but how about that one-handed pick from K? Young holds on to it.
Steele, the 5-step jump, got time. Dive on, run up the middle, got a block. Throws, complete to Garcia. 20, 10, 5, touchdown. 48-yard pass. Wow. Marcus Steele.
He's got his guy, and it's complete. A foot race down the near sideline. To the 10, to the 5, and in. Touchdown, racing in. Gonna go down the middle at the 5, a cut to the end zone. Touchdown. Diving in.
Steele rolls to a left under pressure. Should not get rid of it. Oh, sack. Oh, man. What a hit. Because they have 3 different options every time they run that option. Cleveland's got it with a lot of room. And he is gone. And he's gone. Christopher Thomas. No, the fumble recovered. Going in. Touchdown, Storm. Back to the air. Another missed tackle. In the open field, he missed that one. He's got one more man to beat. He's down the sideline. Can anybody chase him? I don't think so. That's Aiden Shipman in for the touchdown. Carpenter on the little jet sweep, looking for the right edge. He might find it here. Whoa, nice cut. He's got one man left down there. I don't think anyone's going to catch him. That's going to be a touchdown for Cale Cox-Liggins. Wow. 63 yards on the touchdown for Cox-Liggins.
Trips up high for Nolan. Looking, he's got time. Gonna fire down the middle, and it's caught. Touchdown.
Hoops NM Basketball Center is coming soon. 10 full courts broken into 2 wings for ultimate basketball and volleyball play. Locker rooms, a lounge area, a pro shop, and a full snack bar will all be a part of a great experience. Convenient parking and access will make the Hoops NM Basketball Center a premier facility for league play and competitive regional tournaments. With over 9,000 square feet, Hoops NM Basketball Center will take court sports play to another level in our community. Courts are regulation high school size with wood floors and seating for approximately 350 per court. Major sponsors and supporters are being assembled now. If you're interested, contact Dan Serrano at 505-249-7994. Send him an email, hoopsnm@aol.com. That's hoopsnm@aol.com. Hoops NM Basketball Center, a premier sports facility serving our community.
Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting 2 teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone.
Carmody Medical provides solutions for your everyday needs. Hot and cold compression wraps provide therapeutic compression for the shoulder, hip, and knee. The therapy wraps are constructed of an insulated outer fabric and a ventilated cotton pocket to protect the body. Elastic belts allow mobility and deliver a gentle, adjustable compression. The reusable therapy packs can be removed from the pouch and placed into the freezer. Contact Jim for more information.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts. Like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with Proview Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of Proview Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
And welcome back here to the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez, and we are talking high school football now as a big week last week. By the way, Ed, did you realize that last week was week number 6?
I was thinking about that. It's unbelievable how fast the season's going. James Yotis actually came out with the mid-season grades in the Journal on Sunday. So I think when he wrote that, it kind of made me realize that this season, like we mentioned, with any sports season, it's just flying by.
Yeah, it really is flying by. And let's go to the schedule of results last week as we'll look at all the games that happened, especially involving metro area teams. And how about Miyamura holding off St. Pius?
Well, Miyamura came in at 4-0, and you and I talked about that. You know, and the St. Pius quarterback, Pavia, is playing very well. And James Yotis even mentioned Drew Ortiz in the same sentence. Not that Pavia has that kind of talent, but kind of like, hey, he's playing pretty well. So Miyamura, I thought you and I said that. That's a good test. The Patriots come out, they're 5-0. So,
no, they are 5-0, and in the past, Miyamura's come in with a 4-0 or 5-0 record, gone up against St. Pius, and had trouble. But this year, they come down to the Duke City, and they're successful.
Well, you know, Miyamura had a big lead, and Sargents came storming back. And they had some penalties in the red zone that really hurt them. And so I think that, again, though, I've got to give Dave Montoya a lot of credit out there at St. Pius because they lost San Juan Mendoza, Drew Ortiz. They lost so many players, and you know, they're doing a pretty good job of playing without the pieces that they lost.
McQuave over Albuquerque High, no surprise. We'll talk about the Cibola and Artesia wins in depth here coming up. We'll go to the other games on Friday. And other games on Friday, we had Manzano, Victor over Piedra Vista. I think I sent the wrong file here again. Rio Rancho over Sandia. Bloomfield defeated Valencia. Belen over Deming, and Santa Rosa got by Hope Christian. Looking at Saturday's games. And St. Mike's 42-0 over Bernalillo. Raton a win over Academy. It was Grants beating Gallup, and the teams having the week off, Valley, West Mesa, and Moriarty.
Well, Valley gets ready for their season opener. It's right away. The district opener against the Trisco Heritage on Saturday. So, you know, they have an open date, but we'll have to see what happens there. You know, Bernalillo continues to struggle with their program. They've been trying to build somewhat of a competitive program for years now. It's hard to get numbers there. Feel bad for athletic director Terry Darnell, who also doubles as a basketball coach. They've been trying for years there, and Terry's not going to quit until they do. You know, you got Grants over Gallup, and then West Mesa, they have a game against Highland on Thursday, which I'll be covering with former Highland football coach Gary Sanchez, which should be interesting.
Let's take a look now at some of the highlights of a couple of big games last week. We'll start with Artesia and Los Lunas, and 30-27. What a battle this was. Both teams 4-2 now. Total offense very, very even. Artesia 388, Los Lunas 377. Taylor Null just ridiculous as he had 3 more touchdown passes, including the one to seal the deal in that victory. And Nick Garland a big game, 140 rushing yards, 2 TDs, 171 yards passing, and look at Null just throws darts out there.
He sure does. He did that against Cleveland as well the week before. That kid is one of the best we've mentioned in the state, without question. I love the way he throws the ball.
But it would be Los Lunas coming right back as they would get a big touchdown and they would tie this game. And this was one of those games, Ed, that went back and forth. As you get Null in the red zone, and it's going to be tough, but a big interception here.
Big interception, because he normally doesn't make those mistakes, but he got hit as he threw, and that's what caused that interception.
And then Garland throwing an interception of his own, and the momentum just kept going back and forth in this game.
And that's why you had the final that you did, the final score, and give Los Lunas again credit playing without Omari Samuels, who graduated, and they're still pretty formidable.
Good touchdown run there to make it 14-7 Artesia, but then Garland coming back and throws a touchdown. Beautiful move there, and a little dive to the end zone to tie the game at 14. And actually it was 15 as they went for the 2-point conversion. So it was 15-14 Los Lunas. And you could tell, Ed, that in the third quarter points were a premium, but you get a guy wide open with Garland, forget it.
Had to be a busted coverage there. There's nobody around him.
Yeah, and then that's in traffic and a big catch. And, the thing about this game, Ed, is people were making plays on both sides of the ball.
That's what you got to have, and that's why this game was so anticipated. Look at this throw here.
I mean, this wasn't just, look at that. Look at that catch.
Jeez,
double cover.
traffic.
He was whacked on the play and hit. And I think they called a helmet to helmet, and that allowed Los Lunas to eventually come back and take the lead. And this is with just over 2 minutes to go in the game, but you give Taylor Null too much time, and look at this, a dart over the middle.
You use the ability to find receivers with all the routes, knows all the routes in the route tree, and has good timing and chemistry with all of the receivers. There's no doubt about it. Look at the yards he throws for.
And here Los Lunas trying to mount a comeback, and that would be a pick just a little bit underthrown by Garland, and that was the final 30-27. Even in all that, they had a chance to come back and at least tie the game, but that interception was big. But you got to tip your hat to Artesia for winning. You also got to tip your hat to Los Lunas, a very, very gallant effort. Jason Pohl and the guys were talking earlier about how the hearts were just pulled out of Los Lunas. You have the game. I thought it was a great point because it's final couple minutes, and then all of a sudden you think you got this one, and boom, it's the other way.
But you know what? You go back
that's
and
a heartbreaker.
You replay that on Sunday, on Monday. What I always call those losses is a two-day hangover without the alcohol, because you're reminded of plays that you left on the field. There's some promise though too, because they look at the game. I mean, it's not as if they can't beat this team, but the challenge for Los Lunas is to move forward and play the opponents and not look back, because sometimes you do. Sometimes it's a hangover. You know that. Cibola had a hangover, and I'll tell you, we'll talk about that later. They lost to Carlsbad, and head coach Rod Williams said it took them like 3 weeks to get over that. They were up 20-0 at halftime. Right. Carlsbad came back 20 and beat them. So sometimes you have to move ahead.
That's like Manzano Centennial last year.
Right, and you know how that is.
Manzano had that game at halftime, and Centennial came back. Two teams met again, and it was Manzano that learned and won that game.
Sometimes you have to, you want to compete, you want to win.
Right.
But then you look at the schedules. Like, if we don't take care of the business here, we won't have a chance to play Artesia again. Artesia, and I say that about the program. They've won 29 championships. They have that championship aura and swagger and championship cool about them. They really do. You have to get to their level. They're not so much worried about you, but you're worried about them.
That's a great point.
You really do.
You do have to get to their level. Speaking of getting to their level, this obviously was the game of the week, and perhaps you had the game of the week. You at least had the surprise of the week, as you had El Dorado and Cibola. We'll take a look at that game right now. How about that? 40 points put up by Cibola against El Dorado. The biggest question mark that Charlie Dodson's been talking about all season long is his defense, and his team falls to 4-2, and Cibola gets its first victory. Marcus Steele, look at that, 341, 4 TDs, and a touchdown run.
He played an outstanding game, and here's one of the throws to Nathaniel Manzanares in the red zone. Manzanares had himself a big first half. He reminds me of Wes Welker, one of those slot receivers, and there's Gabe Smith scoring on a 2-yard touchdown run. This kid can handle that football
analogy on Manzanares.
Yeah, he's a very quick little receiver. And those slants that El Dorado runs seem to be open all night long. And there's Javian Chavez scoring, I believe. And Marcus Steele, you mentioned, under pressure, got a late hit and another touchdown to Manzanares. That kid destroyed the El Dorado secondary in the second half. First half, not so much in the second half. What is a move here and a spin there, I believe, by Colin Bars.
And this is a touchdown, Ed. You and I talked about this over the phone, that you would think, oh, it puts the game away, but Cibola would end up coming back, and this is part of the reason why.
Big plays here. This is Michael Quintana on a reverse, and they run that all the time. They really do. Quintana got deep into El Dorado territory here. And
I want to say that they're one of the first teams in the metro area that started running that, actually.
You know what? I think you're right. There's Marcus Steele.
They've been running that ever since I've been doing it.
Yeah, they do that on every kickoff. I don't think there's one. This was huge, Scott. They just scored and then they fumbled the ball. So that was huge. And so Cibola got the ball and took it in after that. And that really, I thought, somewhat broke El Dorado's back, although it still went back and forth.
I don't know if it broke their back, but as you can see, the excitement there, they come back, they score, and it's halftime, and all of a sudden Cibola, when things were looking bleak, finds himself
an interception before half. So two turnovers didn't break their back. You're right, because it still went back and forth. Look at Steele.
But it gave Cibola the thought that, we can win this game.
Marcus Steele took some big hits that game. He really, there's Resma Troy. The other part of
Troy's another guy who can just run you over.
Oh man, look at this hit. It was there was a very hard hitting game. Oh my goodness, it really was. This was big here too. Marcus Steele scrambling out of the pocket. Brandon Garcia wide open. He's another guy that's a little scat receiver, a little slot receiver that's got a lot of quickness.
When I watched this to get ready for the highlights, Ed, I noticed the excitement on the Cibola bench. When a team is that locked in excitement-wise and everyone's into it, it's easier for them to just say, okay, come on, let's get this play, and they just kept fighting.
And Roman Marquez scoring on a 7-yard touchdown run there. They get the 2-point conversion. This was the final, and this is the interception here by Javian Chavez had to go out of his hands. That sealed the game right there. There was a play that I want to talk about though. The El Dorado was leading 33-32, and they're 4th and 4 from their own 48. And it looked like they lined up to go for it, and Gabe Smith pooch kicked it, and it was beautiful, right down to the Cibola 4-yard line. So they have 96 yards to go. Good move by Coach Dotson. But you know what? The Cougars answered that. That was huge. And during the drive, an unsportsmanlike against El Dorado, that hurt. They get the ball back. They're moving. El Dorado's moving. Mm-hmm. They get an unsportsmanlike again. So 2 unsportsmanlike penalties in the last 3 minutes really hurt them. And I know Coach Dotson had, 1 is bad enough.
Right.
But then when you get 2, and Charlie Dotson at Tata Roger, Holian, and I said a couple weeks ago that Clovis was there. He was kind of looking forward to Clovis. I don't think he was looking past Cibola. But I want to say this: Coach Rod Williams is a very proud man. Very proud man. He's one of the classiest guys that you could ever meet in your life. I really like him. On his staff is Nelson Smith, former Miami Hurricane, former La Cueva Bear, and Eric Jack, former New Mexico Lobo, former Atlanta Falcon. They also have some other coaches that are as good as well. Mm-hmm. But when those guys are on your staff, and I know Eric Jack from UNM, him and I used to play basketball a lot, against each other. And at Johnson, I know Nelson Smith for years. I talked to Nelson Smith before the game, and he says, hey, we think we're going to be good next year. They're young. But you know what? They had a great game plan. They really did. I'm telling you, this kid Marcus Steele, it's like you look at him like, how could they be 0-5? He played so well. He's only a junior.
Well, I saw him play against Las Cruces, and he came up with big plays against a very stout defense in the Bulldogs. So, I mean, he definitely has the building blocks to become one of the top quarterbacks here in the metro area, if not the state.
Not a gun, not a rifle, but he puts touch.
He's a smart quarterback.
Some of the plays he made. Now, we thought El Dorado, should have won, right? They're supposed to win, but that's not what always happens. And then, Cibola, a home game, their fans are really, they came out and supported the Cougars, even though they're 0-5. So I thought it was a really, really good win for them, and we'll have to see how they finish out the season. They put themselves in a hole at 0-5, but this is still a team that, if I'm watching, thinking, man, I don't know if I want to play these guys, even if we're 6-1, because they're going to come to play, man.
Right.
They're going to come to play.
Let's take a break now. We will come right back with more on the Sports Desk.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Visit the Frontier Restaurant. Due to heavy construction on Central, take lead or coal coming north or south. The Frontier Restaurant. Get your Frontier fix on.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high schools.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
The Sports Desk is proudly presented by Car Crafters. It's like it never happened.
And we're back here on the Sports Desk. I'm Scott Galletti along with Ed Nunez. Alden Iowani, our fine director, getting us on the air here. And time now to look at the rankings, the polls, the coaches' polls. They're put out every week, and we're going to give them to you. And we will start off with 3A, where Capitan is number 1. Eunice, Santa Rosa moves up to number 3. Dexter and Tularosa.
Well, you know, Capitan has held that all year long, and Eunice is both undefeated. Estancia, who's normally up there, they were 2-3 last week, so they must have lost this week, and that's unusual to see the Bears where they are at number 6. So we'll have to see. A lot of football in Santa Rosa trending upward a little bit. It's kind of weird. They're 3-3, and Dexter's 4-2, and Tularosa's 5-2, but they're still ranked ahead of them. That's interesting.
Let's take a look now at 4A, and in 4A, We have Robertson still at number 1. St. Mike's up to number 2. You got Moriarty 4-1, Portales 5-1, Taos 5-1, and then you got West Las Vegas moving up to number 7 at 3-2. Hope Christian holding strong at number 10 at 3-3.
Well, Portales comes in Friday to play Hope Christian. They're 5-1. That'll be Hope's homecoming game, so that'll be an interesting game. West Las Vegas still at 3-2, but Robertson, man, that town must be on fire with the Cardinals being 6-0, and looking forward to a matchup later down the way with the Richard Tripp West Las Vegas Dons.
5A. Good point on the Richard Tripp Dons, by the way. 5A,
I love
we got
bringing Rich up, man.
At 4-2, they are the top team. Berlin 6-0, Roswell 3-2, Los Lunas, they fall to 4-2. Miyamura at 5-0, and Farmington 2-3. St. Pius falls to number 7.
Well, you know, that's why I think one of the things you mentioned about Los Lunas losing to Artesia. They're number 1, and now Los Lunas is number 4. So sometimes you go back to the home, and if you're an athlete, you replay things, and darn it, we should have been number 1. They shouldn't be number 1. Forget it. Forget it. Wipe it off the slate and move forward. Right. The danger is, if you look backward, you're not looking what's ahead. And if that's the case, then again, we mentioned it, a hangover. It's like, oh man, how do we lose that game? And you replay this and this and this. They have a good team, and I expect that they'll maybe meet Artesia. There's a chance. Roswell's also Berlin. Berlin and Los Lunas, that's the other thing. Berlin and Los Lunas still have to play, and what kind of regional rivalry is that?
That's going to be a big-time game.
So, yeah. So there's still things
regional and district.
Man.
So, I mean, that game is going to have huge ramifications.
I never got to do that game as a basketball official. I never got to do that, but every time they played, you'd have to have security, so that you don't want to lose to them. You don't.
No.
So that's another game that they still have to play. So the danger is, don't look back, look forward. You got business to take care of.
Absolutely. Let's look at 6A. Speaking of business, Manzano still number 1, La Cueva number 2. We'll talk about that matchup coming up later. Number 3 is Cleveland. Rio Rancho moves above Las Cruces as the Bulldogs won, but so did Rio Rancho. They move up to number 4, so we'll talk about the Cleveland-Rio Rancho district opener later in the broadcast as well. You got Clovis, Hobbs, Volcano Vista, El Dorado, and Sandia with the Trisco, along with Oñate and Centennial in the others category. A lot of good teams.
You know what, if you look at it, and again, we talked about El Dorado, Clovis, number 6 versus number 9 this week, and El Dorado coming in after a loss, and I'm sure they're still upset about losing to Cibola, but the team to me that I was interested in looking at was Cleveland, trending upward after losing to La Cueva, and I mean getting beat like we haven't seen Cleveland get beat in a long time. Rio Rancho they won last week against Sandia. It took them a little while to get their motors going. But I look at Cleveland, and I know you want to preview that game later, trending up. Was that an aberration when they lost to La Cueva? But you know what? Give La Cueva and their defense, man, they hit. They really do.
Yeah.
So that game this week, Manzano and La Cueva, wow, that's all I can say. I don't know who to pick there. Defense against offense, and Manzano's defense isn't bad either, but I think we'd agree that La Cueva's defense is probably the best in 6A. So that's going to be a heck of a game. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Let's look at the standings now. We'll start off in 4A District 1, and there you have a couple of teams at 4-2.
Well, Theroux and Shiprock have been kind of chasing each other, mirroring each other all year. No district games yet, so we'll see what happens once district starts.
Let's go with District 2 now in 4A, and in District 2, you will see Robertson. We always talk about this district being a fun one, and look at the overall records and look at the teams that are vying there. You got Robertson at 2-0, St. Mike's, West Las Vegas 1-0, Taos and Pewaukee, they are 1-1. And Santa Fe Indian, they're 0-2 in district, but they're 4-2 overall.
Interesting, yeah, that's weird. So yeah, they had a 4-0 record, I guess, till district play started. So they probably lost both to Robert, or I don't know who they lost to, but yeah, that's interesting. Let's
look now at District 3. How about Hot Springs? They're 5-1, and everyone else below 500.
Right. So even the Warriors of Socorro and Cobre and Hatch Valley and Silver winless. So Hot Springs off to a good start so far.
District 4 now in 4A, and District 4. Portales, they're number 1. Moriarty is number 2, and then you got Ruidoso raising their record to 4-2, and Hope Christian at 3-3.
Well, you know what? You've got homecoming for Hope on Friday, and you got a lot of festivities, a lot of distractions, but if you're the Huskies, you're looking up at the Rams. This is a key game, man. It really is. You make some noise in that district. It won't be the end of the district if you lose, but then you got to go to play. You have to go play Moriarty, a very run-heavy team, and you know how they execute. So the Huskies have a chance to make a statement on Friday night.
Let's take a look now at 5A. We'll look at District 1 first. Miyamura ups its record to 5-0. Kirtland Central at 4-1.
Miyamura, again, big win coming in here to beat St. Pius. As you mentioned, they've struggled. They'll start out good, 4-0, and then all of a sudden when district hits, and then at the end of the year, they're usually trending backwards. So that's a big win.
Yeah, it is a huge win because
big win
this is a team that their coaches might be saying, hey, this is our year.
You know what, after I think you can't, again, put all your eggs in one basket, but they did beat St. Pius, and St. Pius, for whatever they've lost or whoever they lost, are the defending 5A champions. So you have to put that on your resume and say, hey, we just beat the defending champs.
Yep. And then you got 5A District 2, and in District 2, Los Alamos is 4-2. Again, another district where everyone else is below 500.
Yes, Los Alamos has played pretty well. No district games yet to speak of. That should be happening this week. But Los Alamos looks like the front runner so far.
Let's go to District 3 in 5A, and this is where it starts getting good. As in 3A, Santa Teresa, they are 4-1. Deming 4-2. Chaparral 4-2. Take a pick in that one. And then you got Alamogordo at 0-5.
Gosh, I told you back in the day the Tigers were loaded. And when you told me that they've lost numbers and enrollment, I don't know if the base has dried up on them because they have Holloman base out there. And man, back in the day,
something happened.
Gosh, they were loaded in basketball, football, baseball, track, loaded. So something definitely did happen because back in the day, you'd really have to be ready to play Alamogordo.
Let's go now to District 4, and you got Artesia back out on top. Roswell at 3-2. They have a game in hand. Lovington and Goddard 3-3. So again, this is a district, Ed, that anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
There's no doubt. But everybody looks up, I think, still to Artesia.
Yeah,
definitely.
You really
do.
Everyone looks up, but I don't think anyone's looking in fear anymore. They're thinking, hey, they're good, but we're just...
Yeah, we got a shot, too. And you should think like that. You're right.
Let's go now to District 5, and this is a fun one with a lot of area teams. Belen is 6-0. You got St. Pius and Los Lunas at 4-2. Grants, who had a big win last week, they're 2-4. Valencia 1-5.
And we mentioned Valencia still struggling to find any kind of consistency with their program. But Belen, gosh, I can't. The Belen and Los Lunas is going to be one heck of a game. That really is. So that should be coming up in a couple weeks. And right now, Belen is playing the best football in that district.
Move on to 6A. In District 1 and 6A, this is going to be a fun district here as you got Rio Rancho and Cleveland 5-1. Volcano Vista, they're a quiet 5-1. I saw the record, and it's like, wow, I didn't realize they were 5-1.
Chad Wallen wants it to be quiet.
He's got a good team, but quiet. I mean, it's still, they're winning games kind of under the radar.
We're going to find out about them. That's one thing that James Yoda said in the Journal. Where are they? They kind of sneak up on people. They try to. But here's the thing. I think Cleveland right now is playing the best football in that district. You mentioned wide receiver Austin Hayes maybe being out for that game on Friday. And if he is, you said it yourself, that changes the Rio Rancho offense. Somebody mentioned this. I think it was Alden Iowani on the Proview rundown yesterday that they really are missing Josh Foley because that running attack, they did so many things as far as misdirection. They used him as a decoy once in a while. He gained 1,000 yards last year. And without that running game, Logan Barrera is a good quarterback. He's got a real funky motion, though. And if you get a defense that can tee off on the passing game with no running game, it's going to be tough for the Rams. It really is. So is that game at Lightning Bolt Stadium? Is that game?
That's at Rio Rancho.
Okay. And you know what? Each team... Lightning Bolt Stadium, to me, is one of the best home field advantages in the state, along with Bulldog Bowl, although it doesn't, the Wool Bowl in Roswell, it doesn't probably get there yet because they haven't been around that long. But, man, when you're out there at Lightning Bolt Stadium with the atmosphere, it's tough to beat them there. But the Rams, having the home field advantage on Friday night, that's still going to be, then again, you're talking about a regional rivalry. It's going to be a tough game.
Let's roll through the districts now. District 2 coming up, and this is a good one. The two top teams are going to match up against one another. You got St. Sandia. El Dorado at 4-2. Clovis with a game in hand. They are 3-2.
Well, you got El Dorado Clovis as well on Saturday, and I know Coach Dotson wanted to be going into this game 5-1 rather than 4-2, but this game on Saturday for the Eagles and the Wildcats looms large.
District 3 now, and this is another fun one. District 3, and we will look at that here momentarily. And there it is, Las Cruces, Hobbs. They are both 4-1. They are both 1-0 in district. How about Oñate? They were 0-4. Now they're 2-4, 2-0 in district.
Took a little while for the Knights to get used to Coach Veliz, the new coach out there, his system. It's a spread attack rather than the ground-heavy attack that they run in the past couple of years. So they're 2-0 in district so far in Mayfield. We mentioned the numbers and the injuries have really taken their toll on Coach Bradley's program.
And finally, District 4, we'll look at that. And in District 4, you've got West Mesa and Atrisco. They're two of the teams that are the front runners for this district. Valley might have a say in it as they'll face off against Atrisco this week.
Atrisco has had 2 bad losses against Cleveland and I believe Volcano Vista. But this district, they're considered the favorite. So the Vikings can make some noise, and the Vikings have some playmakers. I like their quarterback. Seguin Oyeku's a good running back. I think they have some good skill position players. So let's see. Again, Coach Chavez, Judge Chavez knows his preseason schedule was tough, and now they've gotten through that. And Atrisco Heritage and Valley, that's the first game that jumps off in the district. So I'm sure both teams will be ready.
Take a break. We'll bring in Steve Davis here for the final segment on the Sports Desk.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog! Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
VR Junkies is a virtual reality arcade. We specialize in all things VR, from the simple phone-based headsets to cutting-edge full-body motion systems. Check us out at the Coronado Mall. VR Junkies. Hoops NM Basketball Center is coming soon. 10 full courts broken into 2 wings for ultimate basketball and volleyball play. Locker rooms, a lounge area, a pro shop, and a full snack bar will all be a part of a great experience. Convenient parking and access will make the Hoops NM Basketball Center a premier facility for league play and competitive regional tournaments. With over 9,000 square feet, Hoops NM Basketball Center will take court sports play to another level in our community. Courts are regulation high school size with wood floors and seating for approximately 350 per court. Major sponsors and supporters are being assembled now. If you're interested, contact Dan Serrano at 505-249-7994. Send him an email.
And we're back here on the Sports Desk. Scott Coletti along with Ed Nunez. We bring in Steve Davis. And Steve, big schedule coming up this week.
Well, yeah, every week, I guess. It's not even bigger than the first previous, but one, I wanted real quick, Yaffle football's quarterfinals all day Sunday at 2 different stadiums. Actually, more than 2 stadiums. We're going to cover 2 stadiums. So, and then that's the next 3 Sundays is going to be, Yaffle football. But then, I think this is the weekend of the to see where everybody is in the state. I don't think you can have any 3 big matchups. I say 3 because everybody thinks it's Rio Rancho and Cleveland and Manzano and La Cueva, but it's also Hobbs and Las Cruces this week, this Friday. So that being said, is those are top 6 teams in the state right there, and we're going to get a little know where everybody's at.
Let's take a look now at the schedules for this coming week, and hard to believe that it's already week 7. And yes, we are in week 7. Here's some of the games here. Albuquerque and Rio Grande, Highland West Mesa on Thursday, Piedra Vista against Cibola, and we'll see what Cibola can do coming off of that big victory over El Dorado. Cleveland, Rio Rancho, we'll delve into that here in a second. Del Norte, Los Alamos, La Cueva, Manzano, game of the week, and we'll talk about that here momentarily. We'll look at the other Friday games. You got Valencia, Berlin. You got Academy, Espanola Valley, Portales, Hope Christian, and we'll look at Saturday's action. Some pretty good games on Saturday at Trisco Valley, Clovis, El Dorado.
Well, I tell you, it doesn't get any better than that. So this week is just going to be a week that we get to see really who's going to set the pace. I mean, I can't, all the talk's over is La Cueva's defense good enough to stop Manzano's offense, and is Manzano's defense good enough to stop La Cueva's offense?
That's a great question. That leads us into that game. La Cueva and Manzano coming up. That will be at Wilson Stadium on Friday night. That is the My 50 game of the week, and both teams 6-0. Both teams opening up district play. Dylan Summers, 6 passes for touchdowns against Albuquerque High. And there you see Jordan Bird's season numbers: 661 passing, 7 TDs, 512 rushing touchdowns, 11 TDs. Ivy Sod with almost 650 yards and 13 touchdowns. When these guys are healthy, they're hard to stop.
Well, I tell you, the big question, about this is La Cueva's speed as quick and fast as Manzano's backs are, okay? Mm-hmm. And can they contain them? That's going to be the whole. And I think these 2 teams could play later on in the year, and if La Cueva can't control their speed, they're going to learn. The next game is going to be a different type game when they come into it.
I think one of the keys for me is, can Xavier Ivy Sod run between the tackles?
Yes.
That's a big key. If they contain him.
And that's a strength.
Right.
So we'll say that's a great question, because La Cueva's strength is in the middle. His strength is running over the middle.
Ball control back. The thing that gets me about him is you can, you move the chains and then hit him with speed with Erickson, with Jordan Bird. I love that offense, but I think the key to me is if he can't run, there's going to be some problems. Now, you can go to the quarterback, Reed, but if they can control the edge on Bird, if he gets outside, he's gone. So I think Manzano has so many weapons, and then we talked about Erickson, Alejandro Vallejos, Keon Pringle doesn't even get on the field, and that kid can go. So, but we mentioned the defensive front of La Cueva. Gosh, they are. I think that's a good description of Ryan McClain. He is a beast. So is the other kid, Lloyd Olds. I saw that kid hit one of the Cleveland kids on the screen. He almost killed him. God bless. So that guy's scary.
He's like a runaway train.
Yes.
I mean, these guys hit with authority.
Well, like I said, there's the build-up is is going to be unbelievable. I think that I really hope that the fans support this. I hope it sells out.
I hope it sells out too. It deserves to sell out. Yeah,
because you got 1 and 2, and it's James Yoda's question, if he's listening or anything, is when's the last time a 1 and 2 Metro team has played against each other?
That's a good question. No, it is.
I know it hasn't happened in the last 10 years, so I'm real curious to see how long ago it was.
And he'd be the guy to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go to the final game to preview, and it's no slouch either. The rivalry in Rio Rancho and Cleveland. Both teams 5-1. Both teams opening up district for the second year in a row after traditionally finishing district play and the season against each other. This is a key that I wanted to get into with you, Ed, when we were talking about Rio Rancho's game last week. 24 penalties, 204 yards.
You know what?
You can't do that, especially against a team like Cleveland. They'll burn you.
David Howes must be going crazy as we speak right now. That's not a Rio Rancho team at all. I've never heard that. So you're right. And Cleveland, the way they're playing lately, they're trending upward, as we mentioned. And the Rams just a little bit trending down, even though they did beat Sandia. It took them a little while to get going, so we'll see.
So this will be a big game coming up as well, Steve.
Well, I'll tell you, it's real simple. The team that usually wins this game wins the district. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot at stake at this game, and it's early. They changed it. It used to be the last game of the year, and they moved it up earlier. But this will be, really will. Whoever wins this district, whoever wins this game controls their destiny in the district.
Steve, final 30 seconds.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I just quick. The other big game is Hobbs and Las Cruces is Hobbs for real, and so we get to find out this whole week. And then Clovis is coming against El Dorado. Can they rebound from their supposedly upset by Cibola last week?
Yeah, those are going to be some fun games coming up here, and we hope that you'll tune in on Comcast Channel 26, and of course My 50. That'll be the La Cueva Manzano game, Rio Rancho and Cleveland on Comcast Channel 26, and Yaffle all day Sunday. Make sure that you support that as well. This time of year for Yaffle, very fun. For Steve Davis and Ed Nunez and Alden Iowani, our fine director, I'm Scott Galletti saying so long on the Sports Desk.